And where the fuck have you been? All these goddamn tapes, and you've been gone for what, like a month? Christ. You're lucky. I just got some pretty schlocky stuff here in my basement. I cleared out the Deadite problem, but then Steve Buscemi moved in and started his own little child sweatshop. This week they're making discount bear traps. I didn't say they were very good at it. Thanks, Ricky. Award-winning actor Mr. Buscemi? One of your kids got out again. He didn't get far, though. He collapsed on the ground and kept begging me for decent prices for the vending machines in the break room. Also, water and basic human necessities. If you don't mind, I'm gonna keep him, though. The crying helps me sleep. What? Oh. Fuck. Spaghetti. Bring me the tape, will you? Give me a minute. "30 years have passed since the grisly murder/suicide of Colin Childress, creator of the comic book Cellar Dweller. But fellow comic book artist Whitney Taylor is stupid enough to repeat history in a most grotesque way. Little does she know that her twisted renderings will soon reincarnate the bloody hysteria of Cellar Dweller." Okay, so this cover has to be one of my favorites. I know it doesn't leave much to be desired from an actual review, but look at this fucking thing. What's more classic horror than a big monster arm grabbing a lady's leg? Now, the title font isn't the best, but it serves its goddamn purpose. Would I put it on a t-shirt? No. But a line of luxury anal vibrators? Now that's a profitable use of the title. Every stepmom in the state needs their own Cellar Dweller. You get 2 stills on the back cover, as is standard, and they show a little of what the effects can do in this movie. Look at this work. You can't even tell that this woman was anything other than a B-movie actress.
Hi guys, it's me, award-winning actor Steve Buscemi. Come to say, need more children for my sweatshop.
No, Mr. Buscemi, you are not allowed.
The comic art scene in the movie by Jeffrey Combs' character was made by Frank Brunner, who worked on comics for Howard the Duck, Vampirella, and Doctor Strange. In a scene where the character Whitney Taylor is in a room, you can see the Reanimator movie poster behind her. Jeffrey Combs, who plays Colin Childress in this movie, stars in Reanimator, which, if you're a horror fan, you definitely knew. Yvonne DiCarlo, who stars as Miss Briggs in this movie, was also Lily Munster. I used to catch the Munsters on the Boomerang channel around October. If you like the Addams Family or Andy Griffith, give it a shot if you can find it. This movie is full of great acting, partially in consequence of having somebody like Jeffrey Combs in this movie. He's a great thespian, and while his role is simple, it's nice to see him for a second. The main actress is far better of the lesser-known actors here. She's giving this movie a good chunk of her talent, and it was unexpected. The intro with the colored comic book panels and colored text is amazing, and a great touch for a genre of film that usually doesn't have that sort of introduction. I get vibes from Reanimator, which I think is safe to say the director was a fan of. The score is very classical, but I think in different hands it would have been much more pronounced and memorable. Not my favorite thing about the film. The acting is actually fantastic. The film is genuinely funny. There's a scene where the taxi driver is delivering the lady to the house and just talks and talks to run up the tab on her ride. It's alarming that this kind of acting didn't elevate the movie to a more affectionate audience, as the characters feel so charming. There's a character here that you don't see much in most famous horror movies, like the first Friday the 13th. After watching this movie, I've come to enjoy it a lot. Doing the research for this episode was a lot of fun, and the movie was great. So why haven't more people heard of it? Now, I'm not much of a theorizer, but 1988 was a little late for something like this to come out and still be relevant. Now, it's all fine and dandy for the decade, but I think about 4 years earlier, and this movie would have been far better received. It's not a bad movie, it's a movie that this crew cares about, and in my opinion, it's far better than a lot of horror classics. It was just too late in the game. Besides timing, it's not as poetic and well written as far as the story structure like Reanimator or other more well-known horror flicks. I definitely recommend it if at the time you're watching it's available on platforms like Hulu, Shudder, or Netflix. Other than that, to my knowledge, the only other form besides VHS is with 4 other movies in a Blu-ray collection.
already the sirens are going in this area, but it's intense thunderstorm.
But actually, the attack subsides spontaneously once the anxiety passes. Are you saying you think this is all?
That one's in the dirt. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes to Shue. The Dodgers are in 4th.
So that each of my kids who live out of town can bring their families in once a year to be at Heritage.
One gets